Assalamualaikum. Ya Ibrahim. Jarang call saudara. Afalla. Elimba. Okay, Al-Nimbara, everybody. Thank you for your time. So be lafa diamla na UDP call. Basically, as soon as nganying kelo start, distraction of naka start world. So ndala kungonya ndafala na hajolo ngalom be tamala nyadi len mol man yalon ko tell they are propagandists, detractors, vengeful people, hasidol, basically I can call them that. Many yalon ko tell they are still stuck in 2017 or maybe even 2016. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you say. Well, they are in 2017, they are never, ever going to leave that place. Everything you do, everything you say, it doesn't matter what. UDP is to blame. Barrow has no personal responsibility on absolutely anything. As far as those people are concerned, what the matter. So, nga kachawol la, nga nyakasi mol la, many along ko, ito fa nga along ko, nying, hani nga, dunia na kono fa nga bela sika nga diet, memba ju so kono tabo ni knowledge. So, amanjari ni 𝒂𝒂𝒏 ni usaw. Ntel la hajo menti UDP, wala banko la nyarura. Bao mantra masa kunda nya ni masa kunda ko ke menya na menkela nga chodi ko ni manya na kel wala mo positional do ko o do to malle bebe de ni mantra fam fo kam foni election waro si dabi ko si amela wala party politique time out. So 𝒂𝒂𝒏 men yalon ko itala hajo manke fendi fo mo kaja fo dro ni ko killing iko ko Barrow is our Barrow altela ka fono. Fine. Niko Fola, iko tactical alliance. Niko Saba, iko 3 years versus. Wol nenete bolo to la sifa. Wol lo la multi neneta jele loye Barrow muta ya criticize on anything. Hani ba criticize for UDP faje ya baka ani UDP tanu nyedekel. So 𝒂𝒂𝒏 nan kana time waste world. Because member banko kambenya aje. Hani UDP ye kuke kuno. Dabo ye kuma fo kuno. Wala it doesn't matter what. Sa ni tarara ko nyina nyamanya na kila no wala keta wala na bi Barrow lo tan kun. Okay fine, sa nyanta mun ka. Because mo hakel ma be ko wolto jibe. Kunu menketa. Wo keta. Nte itanta conventional la ko, you know, ito la position of mente nte nyanta sonna wal. Nte fana nte conventional la ko ito la position of mente. Nte fana nyanta tala wol to wala ite nante la position of mente nyo conventional. So sa en kamuna time waste. Ni ya feel ko UDP te maso kunda tambanola ya feel ko ni na tan Barrow be nyama ibe wala nyam ite continue ro campaign kala me yake wo ye continue ra wala hajo baraka si ka foko Barrow ko ga better because UDP la samana wonte banku kanoti wo mum mol le te men ya lon ko sonno mo ko no problème wala biji wala m hasidiya because Barrow le president bi ate ye ko it has a direct impact on the lives of Gambians whatever he does. Whatever decision he makes, whatever decision he fails to make, it has an impact on the life of Gambians. So, to our government, got to cut your nose to spite your face. Ni mulunjawaya fle ba fle tolo mulunjawaya. Ni ko ye ngo kundula karu nyada ko mandie. Ike fon la mulunjawaya nditro. So wala mtel la problem with Gambia. 𝒂𝒂𝒏 ka diab me they talk to their echo chambers. Wala ni men danta kangelina. Ni afa saje wala ila post ba fle ngo hay man fo wala to nyati UDP sai ka fa nyati ko UDP ning NPP wol mu 6 and 9 la. Ah to nyala. 6 and 9 la ka 6 and 9 la bari bi même masakunda wala masakunda woka men tamandi wala tamandi bloti andu nayake aka gamiono le affect so UDP be dawde be kuma fala jebe tara diam 15 ans sembete la ka kuke banko ka mayalo ko abe gamiono le impact la gamiono ke la ko do joran ke so men do UDP man tara maranga so dalam do ko menete diam wala masakunda nyene ke manyana ka abanta ñun dol man yalla ko kuwe marali ta labul ye mol ke place do men mano ajibe ñu révélationol ben bekat ibe mol la kenol taliba di la ñol ibe mol la nafulo taliba di la ñol ibe contrat ko safala iba di la ñol do ko baraka mata ke laji wol bebe ke nga banko tinya ni mol wolte ko be di amol do ka fa nga muru kom wala nankale yanko mol yo kuma fo yo ko kuke wo mol te bolay la wodo dar fokunun kunun jana aji yam mambo meten la raga mol yanko ba al hako dan ba wontel nga baro to mo nga samana o yate na le ye fanya diamo so mari ñol te fanya lo diamo yes politician no be dawda e ka calculation ol man yalan ko de aro e ka statement ol fo le man yalan ko de aro ni ko ma jube fon kalan ko nyim manya nañu fo la no bari fo men keto kunun fo be fale nola ntel man nyin kong wala man ke nyen ni kuyate pour mo avocat ha kunu UDP la ka ba jambaro isa baro yes ane biya jube joma fayni Ousmane Sonko na ngawta example men do na in power my election okay was it in February or April bibi din mol be fankale wa flago yo ila nat ne fele man do ko di fanninkel ya start ko janyandi Facebook mo me ya hakilo be baloba within 4 months they am a country can turn around funding men yalla do côté wala do ko di wolbe within 4 months o mam possible bar mol la je nyal la woti wol ka jalo ko okay tel na de ko Macky Sall man tara ku ken ke kanja you know so al nga bonde je ye Macky Sall bonde ja fela sa ne bi funding man do ko so o politician ol di amol le pour que mol hakelo su nyadro bari fa yalla nako ni monata asira president ya janaba simo fon lola fo ka jube okay department kar muna bije department kar muna bije a futa nyawnya wo at least 6 months abotala normal transition on nouveau fon ker sa kon del tam ya transition on manke so kanyum ko mo fole ya fo fo e bata men ya lon ko man tari ko long wala la te fanyina la kuluna wala ko kuma sifa after 2006 election ole UDP ya lon ko based on the 1997 constitution, double last campaign or last eligibility was 2011. Kabru Tamole ya start kamonyini. Member kala lolo UDP as presidential candidate. Malafietra ni malafietra la politiko kono is fine. Ni malafietra la in campaign kono is fine. Laftal dore sonko ning election waro sira. Iko nomination lungalam ngata ko UDP la candidate munyin karleti. Kabo wolu na for election tema which is like maybe 2 months na campaign okay. Mo mansor since 2006. Amanjari nga mo tofo jan all mo to bije maybe you'll find out for lungo bina. But as a tutor in bije is at tofo no because he's a public official and she also ran for the presidency in 2016. But will be balantal no. 2011 to float prior presidential candidate for the UDP. Mo mansor. Why? Because you sorry kinda connection got interrupted. Okay. So, mol la silo ya jame kama, mol kala nako 100% election obuka guarantee. It can go one way or the other way. Ninte sonda nyi nako UDP yen tombo ko nyanko etele na presidential candidate election on atana man na gagné. Ntani ya jame benyo jala nyadi. Ni ya jame sila nyadi. Wala yatina forma even wo coalition time ni aje for example were 57 vehicles. Ntada mol kono many alonko because nga post like kafoko when you are in public service, kafoko anonymous donors aka mol hakil fly andil. That is not a good thing. Ndengo condemn. Bari alan gambia na politiko menga. Nen ku kata mol man d'accord men. For example, Comrade ko Barrow should serve 5 years instead of 3 years. Nimomo Kabio enforce that bo sula kodle. Instead of making it about the issue and how that is wrong, they wanted to paint Dabo as a characterless person. So the argument shifted from the merits and the disadvantages of that argument to whether Darbo's character is something we should question. That was the whole fight. They shift the argument, and then 2, 3, 4 months later, they have a halt in position of defender. No, you wanted to make it about a character issue. That's what the fight was about. It's exactly the same thing, because Kabrin Darbo yofono for UDP Masaman press conference. Kafoko Nimanka la position because UDP went into that coalition arrangement, so until la position munyenetiko based on the basically the party took a shift away from the party leader's statement. But yeah, Darbo is somebody may have so it has an impact on the political landscape. So most often, like, okay, even though I will press statement to basically retract his statement, until we still feel that the damage was already done. That's understandable. But if you want to shift it from there to say it's a character issue, you're gonna have a problem with people. Because more like a character on it. Nita character on just because you disagree with him politically and then you want to make that in relation to his character, then you know you're muddying the argument. A baker kawalanya, Gambia is usual baker kawalanya. For example, Baroying Kumakaon. Basically, most are condemned from a moral perspective, from a legal perspective. He is the sitting president. Everybody should condemn that because police will be Bangkok, soldier will be Bangkok, you know, security will be firing Bangkok and tap. It have to go more luati alnalia arrest alia charge. It have to support us all. Every citizen should condemn that. It doesn't matter who the target is. Because everybody has a right to defend themselves. So, and people have a justification. I work more for the first time during the campaign. Now, UDP in Kolkata go unregistered more level Bangkok many along or many along make a citizen to NPPA someone and put in a boy. So they are going around to investigate to make sure. Whether you agree with that or you disagree with that, fine. But what time, instead of him being the president, I have a police go, nobody should be harassed in this country. Stand up and do your job. I'm gonna file support solely. I'll tell Kamana Sila. Falte Mantara Masakunda. Dolby Jante Murmurna Sade Kono, I'll tell Kasila. Masakunda Valtelabu. He said it there, nobody said anything. And then recently he took it a step further. Alkana Sila Masakunda Valtelabu Mbalko. Allo Aliyekel. Everybody should condemn that. But what did they make it about? UDP and NPP fighting. UDP and NPP fighting. How is that UDP and NPP are fighting? The president said something he shouldn't say, so they made that the issue. Instead of focusing on the real issue, Wolango, Baroyman from Anyanafala, because I told the president with the Sambu Batelebulu, Kango Batelebul. Now I'm for supporters so likely, but what I offer over 1 week, Inspector General of Police, something as simple as we understand politics can be contentious, but we expect all political players, regardless of what side of the political divide you're on, to abide by the laws. Something that simple. Inspector General of Police, Amanson Afal. For Kabru UDP will tell a press conference, for near violence still in the violence still in there. Iko walang problema. UDP lafta bangkoti nyala. Kabru mbaro ba fala mo bebe dere. Inspector General Tulo ya mo Amanson Afal falaji. So near Philco, the police cannot protect you or are unwilling to protect you or are willing to stand up and fight for the rights of all citizens. What do you have left if not to stand up for yourself? Because that's lawlessness. Baroko wala for essentially. Allo aliyekel. Ebe jwana kelende. Meyo kuma for memandie. Because near law altinya police will be jail. That's their job. Let them go arrest people. Until we will not support that. Even during the election period, Kabru UDP election results all contest. And then more gathered at Darbo's house to see what was going to be the next step. Modo bija audio bond. Kafituno kurukur. Darbo muna faje. Wakumo ni mo menka wakuma sifa fo man taranyin ka fo konon ba police ol encourage de ya mari nyini ya arrest. For UDP ngol kamfar. Ha ni ajo mari wo fla UDP ngol lang you know be kamfar ne Darbo manya na fla he should support the person. Basically right there and then I alon ko molo kamfar ne the heat was on. But he stemmed it. People forget that completely. And then at that time, then because these election results are long, because he has that command, he has that authority, he has that loyalty. But from 1996 up to now, constantly, even Karu Fintla solo sand na mo benya video jele is popular. Malafi moe mola motolipa. Go and tell Hani football at Gambia and celebration on the streets. In taxi me tamilankala moto butom dalangali wuro because you are excited. That's a common thing that people do. But even war, kaya na ko nimbe finla mokanawa. So constantly calling on nga example deal from 1996 to 2016. Dabana na mafia jame violence will be met with violence because ya jame abuka falo support so la nyinga nying. Ni ya jam bala kuriya kala ka sojoro le ki wala police ol ki wala jungle ki. So that was what we had to fight against. Ya jam at feel ko he has the power. Mbenyina kala mbal fankaleten mbekaleten mbal fankala 6 feet deep. That's his own statement. But abuka for green boys, green girls, July 22nd movement, alwula ali mol kelen. Wala lo ali bambal tele masakunda. Ya jam nan mo fada. Is it not even a tragedy ninkana up to this point comparing Barrow to a tyrant? May alonko everybody knows ko ya jam's record is completely, absolutely negative. It doesn't matter how many roads he built, his human rights record you erased completely. But we are at a point may along ko ataka kule may along ko hani ayaje mfambuka. Ito man ko sembo bela NIA bebulu, economic bebulu, soldier bebulu, police bebulu. Why don't you rely on those? You have to rely on your supporters, ordinary citizens. Who would in their right mind, yeah, I spoke ordinary citizen, I enter and don't smoke on akaka ke lolbo en kantanga lo ngabar, I am bure. Hana I am no bakelendra. At the end of the day, na I'll tell you I cook and fine, but I'm bakelendra. So we saw that in the problem world, we shift the discussion from that to say that the UDP deserves it. Basically, more cover. UDP la. When it's time to condemn, they don't condemn. So almost if I'll kasi wala. But coming after all those years, UDP bu mol nyin la puruka mol on the mayor and kabe contest la against ya jame mol mahain. That's what it boils down to. I mentioned that 57 vehicles during the coalition campaign period. A business person in the Gambia approached to support them, but in any logical state, election is 50-50. You could win, you could lose. So that business person, even though they are on 100% and they were ready to align themselves with the potential new government because they will be donating to the coalition, but they don't want to be named because it will jeopardize their business, it will jeopardize their investment, jeopardize their family, jeopardize everything, which is true. Because a political party form, all the parastatals was on retainers for them. GPTC, Lambang, every parastatal, they all cut it off. Even private businesses like in Lebanese. Yeah, I made sure they cut it off. Why? Because he's in the opposition. Why Dabo tax evasion, all fun the same thing. When Dabo was on retainer for, say for example, Gamtel, GPTC and all that, his annual income, because of that retainer fee, let's say, I'm just saying for example, was 10,000. Now all of those people were taken off because they are government and then they should not be working with the opposition. That makes his income come down to say 3,000. But in their tax assessment, he used to be paying income tax on 10,000. Why is he now not paying income tax on 10,000? Like tax evasion. When his assets went down, why do you expect him to pay more than he was making? Oh, he paid taxes on 3,000 when he's supposed to pay it on 10. That's the simplest explanation we can give. So when you call baby jail, people were doing that, and then the coalition won. So people were afraid. Based on that logic, UDP fanayalo nako election o kana yen na leader sol be muta ye solo sandem fa nogo njanyol be bulto na musol farmata jawara nyol bebe bulto inata ke meso nyol mute dabo nyol mute momo lawi sana nyol mute ye be muta there is nobody namanke deputy. So UDP had the consciousness go 2016 election, yeah, Jame could win, he could lose. Nothing is guaranteed. But we need to make sure if he wins, we still continue the fight for the advocacy of the people he has detained, our leadership. And we need somebody to lead that fight. So if you wrap up and say, okay, we're going to join another political party, what guarantees do you have for that party will prioritize your fight for your leadership? When they were in jail, the only time nga Ojeleji once at the court to show up and give solidarity, finding Fatma Tamaja. The other political leaders, maybe they gave out one statement and that was it. So when you're in a situation like that, why do you expect to just fold your activities? UDP needed to show people go, we have a figurehead, our structures are in place, everything is in place, this fight is going to continue, UDP is not dead, even though the leadership is out. That was the priority at that time. Even then, you're more than most. One IGM, Adam Borosika, even more conogenic since almost 2006 or I don't know, 2007. We just need a figurehead to continue the affairs. That was the whole point. So you gave us borrow, you gave us borrow, you gave us borrow. Yeah. Because nobody wanted to be in the UDP and UDP is not going to die out. That's the truth. But we gave you borrow and then 2021 came. We realized what this man is not going. At the first anniversary, first anniversary of the coalition government in 2018, January, when they launched the Barrow Youth Movement, that was the first split. Publicly, everybody showed up at the buffer zone wearing those Barrow Youth Movement for UDP code. That was the first time until militant soul, the Janjaweed, we came on social media. We started attacking them. Because if anybody knows anything about youth movements, UDP call them. July 22nd youth movement, UDP call them. That's the result, the reason why Aliunjai, unfortunately, Almane Mankafaka, met his demise in I think Upper River region, Mafon, because Bawa Job Nala Mol, they ambushed the UDP tour caravan and attacked them. In that fight, Aliunjai fought all. Because the High Court kicked it out in 2000. It was considered self-defense. You know, so that was back in 2000. We'll make it again. So the more see the Buffalo, hi, you gave us borrow, you gave us borrow. Yes, fine. That was because there was no other option. And the fight needed to continue. So in 2017, Kabrim Baroyalo youth movement law, UDP called they immediately saw a flashback. Yeah, Jaman Arjana for 2 years, and then in 2 years, they are going back to the barracks because they are soldiers with a difference. Within those 2 years, when July 22nd youth movement came up, and we all know the rest. It morphed into the the Green Boys, and it became the youth, the APRC youth wing. Up to this day. That's where they recruit NIAs and stuff from. So Karimbaroko youth movement, what were they saying at the time? Oh, it's a threat to UDP. That's why they are complaining. It'll more killing up. Because Barobalo youth movement formula, the argument was, yeah, national development plan can also funding kele fanka funyama pruka barola national or coalitional national development plan in pruka mako do sa no nyol lamen cham nyol. That's what they were saying. Ntelnge count on ko na sulata funding kele memba mako la UDP youth wing bijana baroba UDP let him come to the UDP youth wing. They will help him. But they have already started their plots. And then they knew from that moment, if we decide to go by ourselves, UDP called and support. That's when they started talking with the APRC. Way back within that first year. Well, at the following Congress, Mr. Dawola's statement now Hakilobaka for Yirifaso role and baby Bondlaja. Elaven Chamjol by even from the convention hall because they knew what they were doing. But you know, just to summarize, yes, UDP gave you borrow, but there was a lot of history that you should not forget. Because nobody wanted to be associated with UDP, and the UDP was justified in trying to pursue their agenda of post-election 2016. If the party wins or the coalition wins, alhamdulillah. If they fail to win, we were going to continue our campaign on behalf of the leadership that was completely decimated. They jailed all of them. The UDP was going to do that. And they needed somebody inside to lead that fight. Barrow did not strike us as, you know, the most charismatic or no. We just needed a figurehead. And we supported him. Because what mattered at the time was Jammeh to go. It's that simple. And everybody, Mo Bay, everybody was at fault in that period. Even Halifa Afalala interview on Kerfado. You guys wanted regime change, we gave it to you, that's it. There was no planning, no contingency on after Jammeh loses. Well, in the coalition arrangement, there was no plan for how to contest the National Assembly election. There was no plan for how to contest the local government election. It was all completely, entirely focused on Jammeh, because that was the main obstacle for everybody. Once he goes, we can do our reforms. So everybody was focused on that. And we didn't, and more careful, you know, Khalifa quoted it, and it was very popular. Because that's how desperate Gambians were at the time. So if everybody, people want to ignore that, I'll tell you, okay. But when we saw that in 2017, we started formulating plans, but this man wants to self-perpetuate. That's when the fight started. Even though it was on a lower scale because UDP elements were still in government. Our posts are there, our live videos are there, everything is there, how we were speaking against Barrow and his plans. All that failed come 2021. What happened? Let's punish UDP for giving us Barrow. So, I kicked you, you kicked me back. Why are you crying victim now? We say, let's put that past behind us. It was a tit for tat moment, fine. Barrow should have gone after 3 years, but you made him stay for 5 years, so now we also give him 5 years because we are all Gambians. Okay, great. Now, what is he doing? Is he doing something that you expect him to do? Is he doing right, or is he doing wrong? Focus on Barrow. Until we don't care, until we can fight our own fight. There are so many qualified candidates, even in the 2021 election. You know? Some people can attack it directly. Because he doesn't have the support. So that's basically taking votes away from Barrow. And if Barrow loses, UDP will win. That was the logic. More call it. It's the same thing. So if you are really for country, just look at the performance of the government and assess it. And based on that trajectory, Gambia katadamendo for enough time for the whole to Bamfohani. Because it doesn't matter how much you despise UDP. UDP la diam la jama bije 99% of them or 95% of them will be banda. When they go on their campaign, I'm not talking about the executive and the leadership and you know the very active members on the ground, but besides that in social media, ajama banda. Anatreka watch manialeke or whatever. You should throw bacon. Gambia collector makalam. But go to say, I don't know, Wulle, Sidia Jatanyola Dular, when Yalonko they are 100% behind their leader who is Sidia, and he deserves it because he's a capable leader. How much are those people suffering? Go to Mama Kande Nyola Sadiot. Those people are not UDP, they are supporting Mama Kande because they believe in him. How much are they suffering too because of the mismanagement in the country? Every political party you look at, Molbiji and many alongo, they are living in conditions they don't deserve it. And who's responsible for that? The government in power. It'll let them make sure Molly G can also run a big Gambia, Molbiji and many alongo, Pompedio, and Namami, for Nata Tamil of Ladol. Because you'll be Kolonaka. Nisa Sara Border sort of. Young Gambians like Mayo, Pharmacy, that badgy guy for Invorex Lamba, I don't know. About Konyakanjan just to make sure the people who are importing medicine from India that ends up killing our children can get the money that they want. When this guy is more than qualified to do the job that he set out to do to benefit his people. About Konyaka. More jelle lafta business okala Gambia, more jelle operational start Gambia. Just to better the life of their people, Ibebe Konyaka. Why? Because they're not gonna get kickbacks from them. Well baby J Mol Nyaba, UDP is still the problem. When people are gearing up for 2026, Barrow must go. Every expectation that everybody had of Barrow, he has disappointed them. Every single person. Except for those that are benefiting directly. But even them, Hamad Bajuwe, he tries to remove himself from the equation. When he does that, he tries to remove Barrow as well. And tries to say other people are the problem. The government is the problem. It's the government. So mol nyabe wol. The mol will take over the amount for Dolbe Geneva vlog I'll tell link Barrow Bay 6 and 9 10. So mol ye nyak as well. You can never convince those people otherwise. wol and munekere and dunia sala dunia kan wol they are not ever going to leave that position. It either convince no loco until come for one to nyat. It often acted to convince no loco until come for one to nyat. So these two are parallel. If you have the parallel lines, they never meet. So you just focus on what you need to focus on. There are Gambians, they are logical, sensible people. They still blame, the UDP for all of that happened, but they are focused on the issue. We can talk to them. You have people, they are out for nothing other than propaganda, other than vengeance. And then on the other side, you have people who want to debate you on an intellectual level. Or the way you address those people is not the same way you address people who are out for propaganda. They are the opponents, genuine opponents. When I say, I don't like using that word because, in Gambia, I taught in but many along they are determined we don't think UDP is the solution and we want to go on our own to challenge them. There are those genuine people. So many along name mantra of coup killing, there are so many different categories, many along you can group them. Whether the strategy is effective or not, or whether the policy is better than ours or not, that's a debate. But all budget many along say debate no based on policy. But dol budget many along found Jamal Muwalati on so many levels. World propagandist all that. World they are motivated by nothing other than their vengeance, other than their dislike for the UDP, and it's not based on any logical reason. So almost if you cannot convince them. Ni la pose inya kasi. Ibela dia wamenna, ika dia menye, inu wala be kukele wala kelo kumome. Ika wala echo chambers. Ni afo drong, doka wala heart o nyalam. So let them feed off of each other. But the more be direct knowledge towards what is the issue. The issue is ferial hiranje. But we promise the like a ferry kuala. The same thing. Program all Juve about this whole cement issue. All they're trying to do is, favor the jar company or jar oil company. Because all cement manufacture. The same thing they're doing is the same thing they're doing in Senegal. They bag it and sell it. So in an open market competition, men da dia ngul ko so nite Gambian ol ta konye always nyindol konye because you carbon in Senegal le ko nyindol encourage. Why? Because you get kickbacks. Naja Hamad Ba okay attack. That's what it is. It's all about this NPP leadership and who gets closer to Barrow. It's all personal. Power reveals much. To say, or even at some point, Hamad Ba was trying to be the president of the Gambia on so many different levels. Saying Nyaje, mayor minister, the way he conducts himself, the way he relates to people, journalists, whatever. So on the other side too, from the UDP press conference, Molka Kudo misunderstand ye. And that for many along Gambia encouraging the encouraging the abuse of the law, abuse of citizens and their families whenever they get the opportunity. Those people should also face consequences. That's because there are laws on the books. The U.S. Department of State, they used it against Sierra Leone during their elections. They sanctioned some officials of the Sierra Leone Electoral Commission, considered them as being basically disruptive or destructive towards democratization. Not using their own word, but let's say they are enemies of democracy. So they use that law to punish them by giving visa bans to them, sanctions on them. So those laws are on the books. Natta Gambia, you encouraging tyranny, they give you illegal orders, you go and conduct them, they tell you to abuse citizens, you abuse them, they tell you to violate the law, you violate it without any regard for whether it's right or wrong. There are avenues that they can pursue because they don't listen to Gambians. That is even an option because they don't listen to Gambians. Nika Gambian or Lamoino. What better? If the Gambian or Lamoino carry a luat nyale, charge him, prosecute him. If he is found guilty, let the court decide what's going to happen to him. baru bukai. So manga men respect. Ya muna respect their interests. And what is that interest? Ning kol ko karam jan nga bla play no ko nga tinga ta tubab. Nina dimbaya sa renge samba tubab do while there is no medicine in the hospitals in the Gambia. So you can contact these countries, whether it's the US, whether it's the UK, to invoke those laws on their books to try to see who they can sanction. But what we need is evidence. Kariya is against the rule of law. Kariya is against the rule of law. They are perpetually destroying the country by violating the laws of the country, and they are seeking refuge in your country. So no evidence they will know what to do with it. That's the whole idea of that. Nobody will do that because but you know, everything that you say in politics gets twisted to mean what somebody opposed to you would like for it to mean. That's, you know, sometimes okay, but most times it's not, because it's just lying. So basically, the bottom line is, ignore, focus, concentrate on remedying the situation. Barrow is our Barrow, yes, so let's tackle him. The others can be spectators, and they can find excuses, they can find explanations, they can find, you know, blame wherever they want to put the blame, but let's tackle him, because until we tackle, who else will do it? That has fallen on us, and we cannot relent, and we will not relent. So from now on, and that's the thing. They will say things me along be if ferol felal puruke sabane ital bo kumon men blow, but there's no logic. It's like nina Egyptian or come ma for Egyptian or like Egyptian, but ni ancient Egyptian or for kemet more lumber. Logic that hell on, reason that hell on, deep thinking that hell on, nothing. It'll love position of mental draw, yamuta to love te rawolto, alio cool discourse. And go in dunya meta jane, you know, like alaman sort of fanga. So it ni ko ni be kacha la be kacha kuma so alaman sort. Ito do yalon ko also. So there's no logic to it. It'll you want to wrong you jemota bamba. But nina de la post nonsense killing ke ye jabi jedro. It's never gonna go, it's just gonna be in circles. Yana talol bonna half of my ancient Egyptian or work asal no you know kasal na sa musulman kasal ko mo africano. So ni abandi jela woton you know ancient Egyptian or kamen kan fana ko. But there's no reason that they rely on, no logic. It'll argument all tarana rabe mo kusifale. So it's the same thing in politics also. Many yalan ko nyaka taro kuala jahara yaran ko nyimambetea. But just because it'll feel like blame, we can shift it somewhere else to make those people look bad because they stand a better opportunity. Let's shift it there. So near the maybe water ye bula water between the bay no. If faran na jamo ko lola siloka and then lola siloka. Okusifa lendro, you know, okay, come fandilem ka itandila ko okay, itala mo jawot intala mo kendot. Mo competition sifa nila fi dakila je fine, but it doesn't go anywhere. Because number one, it'll take conventional, and number two, it'll take conventional. So say memu kuat. Inyakasila ne kuje memandie wala ku me yalon kan luwa manta wala ku me yalon ko corruption wala nga star ka wala expose na diam mole men yalon ko be temal men yalon ko ni ye site ni ye mire tombal no ko ni membe kere amanka silot election ko soto daw mo sifal mol ko wala target jam mol bi jana men yalon ko register le ko tel mu democrat le do register ko tel mu republican le. So ni bela kuole be yalan ko ngana be soto sa ñu wol, it doesn't matter what be carte faire republican le o ba faire democrat le sa independent sol mbete me kata bla wala no bar wo independent sol fana ko no mol bi je men yalan ko wol, you cannot reason with that. So tell ba ju bela, you choose your battles. But baro kan sister souls are fine, baro must go. We cannot relent. You know, political world, you win some, you lose some. UDP strategy landed journey from 1996. Yeah, challenge on so many things. What did that do? It just strengthens our democratic institutions. It strengthens our courts and our laws. It's the same thing. But when you violation of the governor appointment, they are not qualified. Kabri UDP ko be sula yamane ye be bondi jere ko somebody kid ladol. Why did they appoint them in the first place? When they have legal advisors Nobody knows. So until they are more them, and where the law allows, we take the issue to the court and see for legal redress. Tomen to the young carry file al 2026 nanata nang atuteta level for dila barola la continue 𝒂𝒂𝒏 because wala ko diate for iba model to mona yak jewa bare intel la jero kol bukata ñaar kata ko mal doro ko le amem beje ama moka fo kayo nata mu ngol dum fo ka wuler ngol dum ba fo ka jamba ke rol dum ba mo bela ko yakalam so ngasi nga kol hakil maya men ka ko ha na badin kar bi jan sometimes ka fote badin ko famale ka ma ko ya ko ngatambu so ayta na famana anyway now lo jam before silakote focus on 2026. Ignore the people that are being detractors, people that are propagandists, people that are just vengeful. They are not debating anything with logic. They have a position, they are going to stick with it. It doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you do, that's their position. And they will find every nugget they can just to validate their views. And you bringing facts is not going to help in any way because they don't care about that. They will just interpret them a different way just to fulfill what they want to fulfill. So the right thing to do is for everybody to go and see for yourself what is happening. If you agree Barrow is the wrong person, you have a multitude of alternatives that you can choose from. SFL has already expressed its interest. PDIS is already an established political party. GDC is already established. They are there. We don't know which one of the other ones are going to come back because CA, I think that one is dead. Their leader is gone. He's now the spokesperson. So there might be other ones. Find the one that appeals to you. At least for the sake of your conscience, support those people. If they win, you celebrate. If they don't, you feel disappointed, but in a limited way. But because you're not contributing towards the destruction of the country because you have already made the conclusion where the country is going is not good for anybody. It's just benefiting a few people. But you recognize that already and you say, okay, if we don't support them still, nothing is going to work out. That Quora is a gift for Hakim that he got from Gambia, so he likes to hang it up on the wall. Keep him connected to his roots. But anyway, guys, Allah barakabake. We will see each other again another time, inshallah. Eid Mubarak in advance.